welcome Director, Department of Environment.
Pleasant good morning, Eric Brown, Forestry Officer, Department of Environment.
Oh, lovely. So we have some guests here from the Department of Environment and also Agriculture? No, just Environment?
Department of Environment.
Okay, sweet. So I'm sure you guys have lots of great information for our listeners and our viewers here today. So what's happening at the Department of Environment?
Well, thanks again for having us here today. We are celebrating Environment Month in June. On the 5th of June, internationally, the world celebrates World Environment Day. This year, the theme is ecosystem restoration with a focus on resetting our relation with nature. Now, the Department of Environment has always felt slightly constrained by one day. So we've taken the whole month of June to lay out and celebrate World Environment Day. Well, world environment within the world. We have a number of activities planned for this month. We started on Sunday with a service, because you always have to start anything with the Lord. So we started with our service at the Antioch Baptist Church. The minister and the permanent secretary joined with the staff in opening and celebrating this month. We continue with radio appearances. This is our first one,
of
and
course.
we will have a number of other appearances throughout the month. And then on Saturday, which is the big day, there will be a speech by the minister. Now, our activities have been constrained because of the outbreak. So we've had to curtail a few of the things that we had planned. But nonetheless, we will progress.
For sure.
So we have two staff exercises. The first one, which is going to be on the 11th, is a hike to Black River. Eric can speak a little bit more about two of those exercises a little later. And then on the 17th, the staff will be going over to Nevis to look at a few of our projects that are happening in Nevis. Then on the 26th, that's the big one, and we are praying that COVID would allow us to have this exercise. It's an extreme hike to the crater.
Okay,
So,
hold on.
what do we mean?
Hold on.
Yeah.
I thought just by definition hiking to the crater is extreme. So when you say extreme hike, no, I wonder like, well, we're doing it on our hands, like what going on?
No, we're doing it as fast as we can.
Oh.
So the first person to the rim and back win a prize. Well, the first 10 people we're hoping will get prizes, and but the first one will get the best prize. So we've had this in the past, and we are hoping to do it again.
Right, nice.
And then we are planning a mascot competition, competition for the department. We've already well advanced in the planning stages. The criteria has already been drafted. We will be announcing the start of the competition shortly.
Okay, nice.
So that's our month in a nutshell. I will hand over to Eric now to talk about ecosystem restoration.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hughes. Ecosystem restoration, that's the theme for this month. When we think of an ecosystem, we have to define it first, right? Is the dynamic community of living organisms interacting with their environment. So when we look around us in simple terms, we and our surroundings living in harmony, right? Creating balance, because that's what you need in life. You need to balance off the elements that we have in life, right? Mm-hmm. But when you talk about restoration, it tells you that something is off. It tells you something has been done that needs to be repaired, or we need to get back to where it once, or close to what it once used to be.
There's an imbalance.
There's an imbalance. And this imbalance has been created over a period of time. right? It's not a one-off thing. It has happened over time. And because of man's action and natural processes.
Every day I tell them the same thing.
Right? So when we say ecosystem restoration, it's a time now for us to take a step back and reflect on what we are doing to our environment. And in turn, not only to environment, to ourselves.
Imagine that.
Because whatever we do, the interaction is such. To every action, there's an equal reaction. So if the action is bad, the reaction would also be bad as well. So we need to reflect on what we are doing and see what needs to be done for us to reestablish that balance.
Right.
Natural processes also happen and create changes in the environment. These we have no control over. What we do have control over is how we react to it. Now, what we have seen in our communities, in our ecosystems, is that there is a rise in a lot of diseases, non-communicable diseases. There's a lot of stress, heat stress,
jade stress,
water stress.
Yeah.
You know, right now we're going through a drought period. And believe it or not, although rainfall is a natural process, man activity have influenced those rainfall patterns, the distribution of the rainfall. You know, we live in a society where we are going away from a green environment to a concrete jungle.
Oh boy.
And it's not natural.
Right.
So of course the environment is going to react to that, and how we react to that, it redistributes our water supply.
Right.
Where rain used to fall, it is shifted to some other area, because these processes there are conditions that needs to be met to have that balance, to have that rainfall, to have that the correct temperature, the correct humidity.
Right.
What do we do? What are some of the things that we have done or are we doing that would offset the balance in our ecosystems? You know, there is this saying that says you want all, you get none at all. That is what we are doing to ourselves. We want all the land. And we want to cover the land with development. But then during this development, we fail to acknowledge and to respect the natural processes. We want to expand the community, the villages, houses here, and this there, but we don't want to plant a tree.
Oh boy.
We need to plant more trees.
Talk to them.
In your garden, plant a guava tree. People now start to concrete the yard.
Imagine that.
Because they want to sweep up the yard as they used to do when they were small. You ain't got to sweep up the yard, man. Just plant some trees. Plant some flowers. Plant some greenery, you know. Also, around us, we like to see for far. We want the view. So we don't want the trees in front of us. Planted some trees in the Cairn community some years ago. Got criticized for it. Because persons were saying, man, we want to see a nice lawn. But you see, what the grass does is not the same of what a big tree would do. Because the trees, what they do, they condition the environment, cools down the local environment, cools it down. And when you have this lower temperature, that is what facilitates the rainfall.
Oh, wow.
You remember elementary science, the water cycle? Water evaporates from a body of water, right? Goes over to the land. Body of water here being mainly the sea that we are surrounded by, comes over to the land. But when it hits the cooler air, then you have condensation. Condensation leads to precipitation, which is rainfall. Why we are having droughts, long drought spells, is one of the things is that because of the temperature, the average temperature over the land has increased over time. Why? You have roofs, streets, asphalt, concrete,
And removal.
replacing trees.
Right, removal of the trees.
So the average temperature has in that local area has increased. So that cooling effect has been reduced.
Wow.
Reducing that, reduce your rainfall. So how do we correct that? How do we restore that? Plant some more trees.
Plant
man.
some trees.
Other aspects in everyday life that you can do. Reduce the carbon footprint. Do some more walking, no? Instead of driving 100 meters from your house to the shop, walk, man. You know, go back and walk, and you don't put some carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide back into the environment. You know, turn off the AC sometime. Reduce the amount of electricity you consume, because that consumes fossil fuel at the source.
Right.
You know, recycle material. Material includes water. When you're washing your car, instead of just having the hose running, use a bucket.
Simple.
You know, soak down, and then minimal did wash down, wipe off. You know,
Right.
reduce the recycle. Use less single-use plastics. You know, start to use your shopping bag again, instead of them filling up your house with all these plastic bags. Because when you throw them in the garbage, guess what? You realize over Canary, they're creating a mountain over there. You realize that mountain that is mounting up is a lot of plastics under there that is not breaking down at a fast rate. Soon we're going to have to find another landfill. But where are we going to put the other landfill? Because nobody wants a landfill in the community. You know? Because of what? You say health hazard, the stench, and all of these kind of associated with it. Plus the space. There's a competition for land space. Where are you going to put this? But we can reduce that by recycling. You know? Even your tires from your car. How do you recycle that? Man, that's easy. Use that in your garden. You plant in that. You fill that with soil and you plant inside there. You know, and you use that in your home. Plant a garden. This is another way to restore. Plant a garden. Eat local. Right? Eat local. Now, when you eat local, how does this help to restore the ecosystem? Eat local means you're supporting the local farmer, which means he can have to plant more. And in planting more, he's putting more greenery
Right.
in the landscape. Also, those food coming from overseas has to be packaged.
Yeah.
So you're reducing also, because when you take that food out of the package, what you do with it? That's garbage. you know.
Garbage. Trash.
Yep.
So you're reducing that garbage also, the amount of that as well. So eating local restores the environment. It supports livelihood as well. Eating local, so support the local farmer, the local agro-processor, the local vendor. Right? And so therefore, restoring this, people is about a mind change. That is what we are about. Educating to change the mindset of persons. You know, in this is to bring awareness. Take a step back. Look at your surroundings and say, what can I do?
Right.
What can I do? It may seem simple and insignificant, but then my mother always told me, one, full
Full
basket.
basket.
Full basket.
So
Yes.
therefore, every little effort goes a long way. The children get them involved. From the smallest ones, get them involved. They're at home, right? They can't go to school, COVID on. But in the yard, they can you teach them how to do some gardening. Teach them how to do some recycling. The banana peel and all of those things from their snacks, put that in a bucket.
Composted.
Yes, man. Top it off with some dirt. We did that in the Keon Primary School some years ago, and we won prizes for that. Local for fertilizer, prizes, first place. Come on, you know. All of this is also, when you put that back into your yard around, is also restoring.
Right.
Restoring our ecosystem is saving livelihoods, is preserving lifestyle, preserving our health. right? We want to go out in the community and we want to have a wholesome life. It's all about balance.
Balance. I mean, it's so interesting. We don't always recognize the changes because sometimes they happen so gradually over time, and then by time we realize, it's like, well, wait there. This morning I wake up, and I don't want to exaggerate. There may have been no less than maybe 3,000 monkeys in the yard, and it's like this never happen all the time.
Exactly.
And so you have to ask yourself, well, what is it that we're doing to contribute to these changes? And now that we're here, what you're saying is, with some of these, don't cost you anything. As a matter of fact, it might save you. Some of these actions that you were suggesting, simple things we could institute. Plant a tree. Look at how how much trash you're generating and these kind of things. These are things that we could do. We could do them. Right?
There are activities that persons take, and they're not mindful of the long term, right? And like I said when I started, the effects that we have had on the environment did not happen overnight.
Right.
It happened over time. And many persons, why it happened is because we do not see, we don't see the long-term effect. The long-term effect I'm referring to, what we are seeing today, was the long-term effect from 10, 20 years back. Actions that person took years back. So if we want to have proper environment for the future, we got to start today.
Today, right.
Take, for instance, I'm going to go and talk about sand mining. Some look at it, hey, it's just dirt. But then,
right.
I just taking some dirt from here. Nobody using the area. Sand mining on the beach. Person said, "Man, me just take a little bit." One, full basket. But here you have to recognize the natural processes that occurs. When you take sand from one area, what happens on the coastline is that the wave action of the ocean move the particles from one area to a next. And because the wave action changes throughout the year, this removal from one depositing somewhere. That's what it does, from one area to the next. But if you go and take the sand from where it's taking it from, then there will be no sand to be deposited elsewhere. Right? So you're actually taking it out of the system. Right? And what then you end up with? Then you start to make noise, we ain't have no sand. There are countries that have to import sand. We may even reach to that stage of importing sand because persons disrupt that natural process.
Right.
You understand?
The delicate balance.
Delicate balance. The same thing in the guts. They go for gut sand. And they do the same thing. But what happens? A chain reaction occurs. Those who take in the sand, they don't look back.
Right.
But then the erosion happens. I will give you one scenario. Talk about the Washgut area. I live right next to Washgut. And over the years, Washgut was a sand mining area. It was designated a sand mining area. But then after the sand mining was stopped, because you got to reach to a point where you got to say enough is enough.
Right.
Person have this thing there saying sand does grow. Right? But then they went back illegally and started sand mining again. But what happened? These guys will go hit the side of the gut and then hit the bottom so that the top would fall.
Right.
What happened there is that at the top where I'm living, there was a road. There was designated a road. There was a buffer zone between the road and the gut. When that erosion started, when it finished, the buffer zone was gone, the road was gone, and it was just left the neighbor's backyard.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine that? All that from illegal sand mining. Now, those taking the sand, they don't see that. They don't care about that. So we appeal to persons. Stop that practice. There are designated areas for sand mining.
Right.
Go to those designated areas and take according to what you are allowed to take. Because by doing illegal something, you're actually putting your livelihood at risk. You're putting person's life at risk, people's property at risk, putting the environment at risk. Because we lose, in the example, we lose roads, but we may lose farmlands.
Right.
Less farmlands, we are losing food.
Yeah.
We lose food, meaning the prices goes up, and you realize the domino effect.
Yeah.
And then we start to cost. But it is not something that happens overnight. As I say, step back. See what we are doing.
Look at your actions.
What can I do? We have this thing in saying it's, what we. You see that what we is a means of taking out self.
Right.
It's a means of taking out the individual. Yes, there are actions that the collective can do. There are actions that agencies can do. There are actions that government can do. But nothing is stronger than what the individual can do.
Right.
It takes all of us. We at the department, we will continue to monitor for the sand mining, continue to monitor the ecosystem, looking at the forests. We invite persons to come to the forest. So I'm asking you, come to the forest, enjoy the forest.
Yeah, man.
But when you come, take pictures, leave only footprints. Stop the illegal dumping.
Oh boy.
People would go above the village and go in the guts. Nobody seeing them. They go at night and they dump their garbage there. Where do they think the garbage going?
Back in somebody's backyard.
Yeah, of course.
In the water system.
And it tends when it reaches down to the village level, the community level, it's a plain. So the water no longer flows with force. So whatever is carrying gets stuck between rocks and roots and stay there, rotting, giving off gases. Gases that we're not supposed to be breathing in. And also these gases contribute to the warming effect. We talk about global warming.
Yep.
But here today, we're talking about local warming. Forget the global. Because we got to look at home first. The local, or what we call the micro environment, is what is being affected. The immediate environment. We got to reduce these ill effects that we are doing. Stop the dumping, man. Go over, carry it over Canary. Another thing is, stop the load of burning up and down the place, man. Find some recycling methods tell person, invest in a chipper, no? TDC up there selling cheaper. TDC might give it to me this morning, but anyway. But I think they don't feel good, because if they import cheap wood for people to use in the garden as mulch, man, if they could get a local source, I think they would feel even better,
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And so therefore, if persons could invest in that, when they cut down the branches, hurricane season coming in,
Yeah, man.
trim the branch. Oh, let me make an appeal here for the hurricane season. Don't cut down the tree. Trim it. Trim it. Don't cut it down. Because when hurricane gone and the place start to get hot, now you want to put an AC and fan and send up your electricity bill, and then you start to cost the electricity bill too high, and then stress. Electricity stress and heat stress, and that can lead to all kind of diseases inside your body. Next thing, funeral homes business booming. We don't want that. We don't want that. Step back. Look at what we are doing. What can I do?
Right. I think that what you're saying is so important and so relevant to what's happening now. A lot of times we don't see the consequences of our actions because those consequences aren't immediate. And sometimes we feel as though, man, it's a small thing, a little thing. Man, I just want a 2 bucket or 2 trip. I just want, man, this trash. I mean, driving all the way over, can't we go throw down this? So just go up the gut and throw down that. Yeah. not realizing that, you know, there's long-lasting and far-reaching effects as a result of those actions. You know, unfortunately, you know, time is running us down. But again, you guys have a full month of activities. Could you remind the people of things that are going to be happening, and so we could really be a part of what the department is doing?
Okay, so the minister will be speaking on Saturday, on World Environment Day. Then we have, within the department, we have the hike to Black River and a visit to Nevis. Then there's the extreme hike to the crater on Saturday, 26th of June, and then our mascot competition. But before I go, I wanted to ask persons to check us out on what we are doing. Our Facebook page is Department of Environment St Kitts, or at Enviro SKN. Or we also have a web page. Our web address is environment.gov.kn. We also have an Instagram page.
Okay.
Yeah, we're modern.
Okay.
DOESKN. Right? And on our Facebook page, for instance, you'll find information like we're doing a species alphabet. We're highlighting different species within St Kitts and Nevis. We're doing a word of the week. This week it's drought. All kind of information on drought. And so lots of different information on our Facebook page. So please check it out.
Awesome. So there's so much happening at the Department of Environment. Sometimes we may not even be aware of what's happening, but guys, I'm going to encourage you, go to their Facebook pages, go to the website, go to the Instagram, so you could keep abreast of what the department is doing. Mr. Brown, you want a job at WINN FM? Because, people saying your voice sound like you make for radio, you know.
Don't poach.
I wouldn't mind coming in and talk about environmental issues and all of that. I'll come back anytime.
All right then, man. So we're looking forward to you guys coming back and visiting us at some point.